Hi guys, my name is Naledi and I make money with music. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So, I am a musician and I'm in the music industry. I've been in the industry for about close to 10 years now. Started in 2014, I matriculated in 2013. Went to school, went to varsity and decided I will not work a 9 to 5. I made a vow to myself to never submit a CV. And I unfortunately broke that vow and I worked for about 2 years. And immediately I got married. And on my honeymoon, I decided, you know what, this is it, on my honeymoon. And I said, we're gonna take a leap of faith and go into music, and the rest is history. So yeah, I make music for a living. I tour around South Africa. God has been good, God has been great, and luckily it's working out so far, and I have no quarrels. Any industry is obviously a crazy one, but I've fallen in love with music. I think it's a gift of mine. And I think it's really important for people to operate in their gifts. And yeah, man, the rest is really gonna be history. And follow the journey to see more into my life and how I do things. And let's get to it. Yeah, this is one of my favorite guitars here. I actually wanna buy this one for myself because when you're flying as a musician, those of you who know, it becomes quite stressful to have a big guitar, and this one is a bit of a smaller body, so it makes traveling easier, and it's a Martin, one of my favorites. So how I got into music, it's actually a really fun story. I'm gonna give the whole backstory. So I was in Grey College, a predominantly rugby school and a sports school, but I never really vibed with that. I've always loved music, and I started singing choir in primary school, and about grade 3, I auditioned to join the Bloemfontein Children's Choir, and this is the coolest part of the story because this is where exposure matters the most. And those who know, Bloemfontein Children's Choir used to travel overseas, and before joining, I didn't even know this. I just loved music. So when I got into the Bloemfontein Children's Choir, my first trip was to Japan, and it was a culture shock of note. Changed my life completely, and then I realized, oh wow, music made this possible through choir. And ever since then, I think the journey has just been, you know, planned and pathed for me because the children's choir travels often. So I traveled overseas with the choir, been to Japan twice, went to Sweden, been to Belgium, been to the Netherlands, been to Germany. So when that happened, I realized that this is actually an opportunity, an open door. So I sang choir, carried on in school with music, and then joined a group called Indomitus in high school, which is a smaller group. I'm always like joking and saying I started with a choir and then it ended up getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So I joined in a group called Indomitus at Grey, about 12 to 16 guys who sing together. And then in that group, we traveled to Prague, Czech Republic, where we won a competition there. And from that moment, I think it was in my matric year, grade 11. From that moment, I think I decided, you know what, this is it, because you know, if once you've traveled once, the bug has bitten you. And from there, everything changed for me because, like I said, exposure is a big deal. And you've traveled once, you just fall in love with it because you realize that the world is actually bigger than yourself. So went to varsity, joined the sad groups on varsity, almost the same as in Indomitus, also another 16 guys singing together. I was in Hayes Abraham Fisher. I started at the University of the Free State and completed my psychology there, and then decided, you know what, I'm not gonna work in psychology. I went to go sell furniture, funny story. I actually still don't know why. And then from furniture, I ended up opening a music shop with a partner of mine in Louw-Wippenaar in Bloemfontein. That lasted about 2 years. Like I said, I got married, went on honeymoon, came back, sold everything, and luckily, this was just before COVID. And in varsity, I met these 3 guys that I used to do music with, a group called Simple Stories. We started as 4 guys. So like I said, choir, about 60 people, Indomitus, 16 people, SAR, even smaller, and then I ended up singing with 4 people. 1 member left, and then we ended up becoming 3, and then quit my job, sold my shares in the business, music business, and decided to go full-time music, and it's been the best journey ever. It's been up and down. Obviously, every industry has its up and down, but like I said, I think if you're operating in your gift, you are graced to go through any challenge. It's better to be operating in your gift than doing something just for the sake of it. Doing music started off slow, started off bumpy, but if you persevere, everyone knows that sooner or later something will crack. And yeah, now I'm a solo artist doing this full time, and I'm absolutely loving it. I wouldn't change it for the world. I think working a 9-to-5 has its perks, obviously. Working a 9-to-5, you can leverage that, but in my opinion, I think I was getting too depressed. And also working for somebody else is not in my personality. I think I'm way too right-brained. So when the opportunity came for me to pursue my dreams, I took it with both hands, and I haven't looked back. So it's been an amazing journey so far. Like I said, it's been a journey of almost 10 years, and I'm excited for the future. So when did I realize I can make a living with music? I think it was a funny story actually. When we started this group, Simple Stories, with the 4 of us, obviously before then I was in choir, you don't really earn money from that. In Indomitus, I'm still in high school, you don't earn money with that. And in SAR also, you don't earn money. So when the 4 of us decided to come together on campus, we were quoting literally like 500 Rand a show, 1,000 Rand a show. Now, imagine splitting 1,000 Rand with 4 people. It's really not viable. But we knew what we wanted. We knew that we were good. I think it's important to know that you're good. And then the minute the interest started picking up in the group, you know, when people start liking your Facebook page, people start sharing your content, now the emails start coming in, the phone calls, the WhatsApp, that's when you realize, oh, there's demand. So I think the minute there was demand, and we realized that the demand is growing, so which means the quotes need to grow, the invoices need to grow, it started becoming a clear picture that, hey, we went from quoting 500 to 2,500 to 5,000 to 10,000, eventually to 20,000. And once that happened, you realize, okay, if I can charge 20,000 Rand for one show, that's a good fair amount to split between 4 people. I mean, it's a few hours on stage a day, 20,000 Rand really doesn't hurt. So once that happened, I realized, okay, there actually could be a future in this. But obviously, you know, splitting something with 4 people is still a lot. And that's, I think, the reason that led me to go to find a job again. But once I came back into the solo scheme of things, starting from the bottom again as a solo artist, quoting 500, 1,000, working on your craft, sharpening your axe, then I realized, okay, this can be done as a solo artist too. And then same thing, same business model. You start off small, quoting 500,000, 1,500, 5,000, but now you're alone. So you realize that you don't need to really split that money with anyone. And that's where it becomes financially viable. When you are on your own and you realize, hey, there's actually some money to be made here. So I think the moment there was a demand is the moment I realized this could become a career, you know? So what are some of my biggest motivators? I think like any industry, like any entrepreneur, everyone hits those low moments. Everyone gets to those points where you doubt and feel like quitting. But like I said, for me, the biggest motivating factor is autonomy. I'm a big fan of owning myself. I'm a big fan of owning my time. I'm a big fan of owning my life. So autonomy was a big motivating factor. And I'm a Christian too, so I'm a firm believer in authority. And one of the best scriptures I love in Proverbs is a promise that says, you will be a lender and not a borrower. And in order to be a lender, you actually need to have some leverage. You actually need to have some power, right? So that was a really big motivating factor. And before I actually quit my job and sold the shares in my music industry, another word I got was, your gift will make room for you. So I realized that I've been blessed with a gift, and that gift will open doors. Another scripture says you will stand before kings. You won't stand before unknown men, right? So that promise and promises from God is easily the pinnacle of my motivation, to know that I'm not doing this by myself. It's not by my own strength. It's not by my own might, but I have the promise of God behind me. I have the word of God behind me. And I believe in autonomy. I believe that no one should own your time. No one should own your life. So yeah, for me, in actual fact, the biggest thing above motivation is discipline. But I guess that's another conversation. So why I chose music over the conventional 9-to-5, as I've been saying, is exactly that. When you get caught up in a 9-to-5, like I said, there's pros and cons. But for me, I'm a right-brained person. I think freely, I think creatively. So sitting behind a desk, sitting in a 9-to-5, knowing that I need to arrive at 8, my lunch is at 12, I'm back at 1, I leave at 5, and that happens every day, Monday to Friday. It didn't sit right with me. Even though the salary is great, like I said, it's very easy to leverage a salary. It's very easy to make moves when you have a salary. But for me and my personality and the gift of music that I've been blessed with, I think it was almost a no-brainer, to kind of say, music is it. The 9-to-5 thing, I tried it twice. It didn't really work for my mental. It didn't really work for my personality. So what better way to explore than to work and operate in your gifting, So I think it's a really big and important thing to recognize what your gift is. Don't look down on your 9-to-5. You can always leverage that, but moreover, pursue autonomy. And that's the reason why I chose music over any conventional job. And I think also because there's a saying that says, if you love what you do, you won't work a day in your life. And I think I've experienced that throughout my entire career. I get to travel, do shows abroad, do shows locally, find some amazing spots. I get to travel with my wife. So yeah, I think music is really a blessing. I wouldn't have chosen anything else. So how's my relationship with money? I'd say it's like being married. It's a roller coaster. But in essence, the minute I switched over to entrepreneurship, when you abandon the 9-to-5 and the security of, at the end of the month, this set amount of money is coming in, your relationship and your mindset kind of has to change with money. So the biggest thing for me as a believer is, I think I started looking at money as a seed. And it's really one of the biggest revelations I've ever received, because once you see money as a seed and you sow that money, what happens? You just comes up and up and up. So I see it as the minute you make money and you invest back into your company, that's seed. The minute you make money and you sow into other people's lives, or you sow into people's music careers or anything else, it changes the game completely with money. And I think the biggest thing is, another mind shift I had with money is the saying that says, money is a terrible king, but is an amazing servant, right? And I think each and every one of us need to have this revelation when it comes to money. Money ought to be serving you. You shouldn't be serving money, right? You shouldn't be serving mammon. It ought to serve you. It ought to uplift you. And at the end of the day, money should be able to replicate itself. The pursuit of money shouldn't be the reason why you do what you do, because money is the byproduct of excellence, of value, of seed sown. So in actual fact, money should be following you wherever you go, if you are applying the right principles. And I think changing that mindset was a really big thing for me, to realize that, money is not my king, money is my servant. So I think the importance of investing and saving for a self-employed, freelancer, entrepreneur, extremely important. But what I want to touch on is, I've recently discovered that saving money is actually a myth when it comes to wealth creation. So think about this. If I save 10,000 Rand in my account and I look 5 years later, outside the inflation is up. And in my account, let's say I have an interest rate of 8% over 10 years. It's really not much, right? Whereas the inflation outside is, it's crazy. So in my opinion, saving is really important. It's important to have emergency funds. It's important to have backup plans and whatnot. But moreover, investing is really what's important. whether it be in property, whether it be back into your own business, whether it be back into your craft, buying books to invest in your mind. I think that's where it's really, really crucial for self-employed entrepreneurs, because, like I said, saving really will get you only this far, but I think investment is the next step to wealth creation and wealth preservation. People don't really talk much about wealth preservation, and the people that I'm around, they'll always constantly tell me the importance of investing and not saving. I hardly hear wealthy people talk about saving. You'll hear people, middle-class people, laugh saving. And like I said, don't look down on saving. It's important to have an emergency fund. It's important to have backup funds. But moreover, it's more important to invest, whether it's in property, like I said, whether it be in yourself, back into your business. Investing is crucial because it's the only way you'll beat inflation. So some advice I'd offer to entrepreneurs and freelance advisors would be, first and foremost, it's probably the most cliche one, but start. Like, I think a lot of people get caught up in fear. Employed people who earn a 9-to-5 or whatnot. Like I said, you have an opportunity to leverage your salary, but once your business or your entrepreneurial escapades overtakes your 9-to-5, that's when it's time to actually take the leap of faith, right? Or take the leap of faith trusting your product. I always say, like you heard me earlier, make sure you sharpen the axe, because a dull axe can't really chop a tree down with as much effort as a sharp axe. So some advice is start, whatever that idea is, start, do your research. Moreover, I think find a mentor or enter business school. A point I forgot to mention is I attended business school. I have many mentors. One of the people I look up to is the guy I ran the music store with. His name is Dr. Thabo Pitsi. He runs a company that really, really teaches entrepreneurial skills and insight, and to increase your acumen when it comes to business. It's really important to know what you know. Otherwise, you'll start, but you'll flounder upon the way, or it'll just take much longer than what it ought to. So start, sharpen your axe, know your craft. And when I mean know your craft, you should know what you do. You should know your product like the back of your hand. You should know that what I am doing is needed. There's a demand for it, and it has impact. Because some people, for example, other industries sell consumable products, and that in itself will create more business. But if you're not in a consumable product industry, what then? You need to ensure that your product is good enough to hook, line, sinker people. There needs to be a demand. And moreover, don't quit. Take it day for day. I think entrepreneurs try and do this thing where they make big challenges and try and do big things in the short space of time, and then they get overwhelmed or they get depressed and stuff. Take it one day at a time. Set a goal, 15 years, 20 years, and then work back. Don't start and work forward. Set the goal for later. Work back up until each day. So key activities. What do I need to do today to make something that I want 20 years possible? I think that's because then you'll have a plan, right? We've all heard the whole thing, plan and whatnot, but people don't actually understand that planning should be so intentional to what you want in 20 years. So entrepreneurs really need to, I think, take that into consideration, that set your goals and then work back in detail. When I mean in detail, I mean when you wake up in the morning, at what time you wake up, what's your first activity? Do you look at emails in the morning, or are you going to go gym to make sure that your mental is fine? All of that matters, because I've seen a lot of people who build businesses but are unhealthy and they can't run them later in life. Or they start businesses, they're healthy, but they don't know the financial game. And then they need to in any way hire an accountant that's going to probably rob them or anything. So really, really take time to know your craft, like the industry that you find yourself in, know the people in the industry, know who needs whatever it is, and just work at it nonstop. I almost want to say become a bond slave to whatever industry you're going to enter into. It should consume you. It should, when you wake up in the morning, it should be the first thing you think about, you know. Be obsessed. Be obsessed with your industry. Not with money. Be obsessed with your industry. Because like I said, money will follow you if you are obsessed with what you do. How optimistic am I on opportunities for entrepreneurs? Well, I'm extremely optimistic because, like, to actually have started this thing, we should have actually described what an entrepreneur is, right? And for me, my opinion on an entrepreneur is, and this will guarantee that you always have business. An entrepreneur is somebody who solves problems. Now, in any country, any space you find yourself, if there are problems, that's opportunity for an entrepreneur. If there are problems, you are in the good and the great space, because wherever there's problems, there are people who are looking for problem solvers. And if you become a problem solver, you meet demand. And if you continuously are solving problems, you'll become very wealthy very quickly. So I think, especially in South Africa, with the amount of problems that we have, the ground is fertile for entrepreneurs. I even believe that entrepreneurial skills is what will save this country. I think entrepreneurship is what will drive the economy of this country. And like I said, with the problems facing us, we need unique solutions. We need unique problem solvers. And if you can be that person, I guarantee you will not struggle. Even the people who are looking for jobs, if you are a problem solver, that's it. Whether it's saving somebody money as an accountant, whether it's just making somebody's life easier as a PA, as an entrepreneur, whether it's solving people's problems that are so unique that only you can solve it, there's a very high chance that you'll be very successful in what you do. So I'm extremely optimistic in this country for entrepreneurship. I think it's going to be an amazing journey. I think, especially for young people, we are going to see a big shift that happens. A lot of people are going to start to go the entrepreneurial route. So stick it out, stick it out. Don't quit, stick it out, and you will see soon what will happen. And yeah, just like that, my name is Naledi. Please follow me on my socials at Naledi Mohapi. Louis will put it down here. It's at Naledi Mohapi on Instagram, at Naledi Mohapi on Twitter. And please subscribe to this page, like this video, and switch that notification button on so that you know when this channel uploads. Cheers. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Just as long as you stand by me. Yeah, man, it's a lovely guitar. If you want it, come to DV Village, come get it for yourself.